This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Welcome to Schmactors, a podcast series that seeks to answer the question, are Hollywood actors all spoiled, vapid, vacuous, and vain ingrates, or do some of them actually have interesting views on issues of the day? Or is it a mixed bag? James Marsters and Mark Devine are putting themselves to the test. They're leaving it up to you to decide if they're interesting or just plain nuts. Listen as they peel back their craniums, share the surprising thoughts that fill their heads, and draw back the curtain on the world's zaniest town.
Oh, guys. Hello.
Look
It's so
at
good
you,
to see you.
my fine feathered friends.
I'm so happy to be here now.
I am
as
too. How was
opposed
your...
to yesterday.
What happened yesterday?
Okay, I have a question for you guys. So I have this friend who is the nicest person in the world, and
This
he's
is
always
about me.
helping people. No, it's
Yeah.
not about you at all. It's
Okay.
You're a nice guy, but this guy buries both of us. You could take all of the niceness that we could scrape together, the three of us, and it wouldn't come close to the niceness.
What's funny is I know exactly who you're talking about. So go ahead.
We have a friend that he's blind, and every Wednesday, my friend picks this guy up and spends the whole day with him, takes him out shopping, takes him out to dinner, spends like the whole day until like 9:30, 10 at night. And I've always been very impressed by this, you know? And recently, this guy is this friend of mine. He's older and he's had a problem, and the DMV won't let him drive for a little while until he gets checked up by a doctor. And he's fine.
The blind, his blind friend?
No, my friend, the really super nice guy.
Okay.
We're going to call him Carl. So Carl can't drive right now. He'll be able to drive in a little while. But so in the interim, he's having me drive, and so I'm along for this every week for like 7 hours. And like, okay, the worst part is that, okay, I don't want to do it. I don't.
Of course.
It's
Neither does Carl.
I don't know, man.
Carl doesn't want you to do it.
The worst thing about it is the guilt of knowing that I don't want to. It's the best thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's like this guy's blind and he needs a social life and providing that, and it's all the good thing to do. And I am racked with guilt because I'm just not there. I have other things to do, you know? Like I don't know. Jason says Gladiator 2 is really good. I have some football I can watch. Very important things I need to get around to, you know?
You need to sit and think, too, and then share what your thoughts are with me.
Exactly.
Did you tell them this?
I need to think about myself. What about my me time? My God.
I didn't know that about Carl. That stinks. But someday, if you're like me, I went to visit an acquaintance, I'll say. I was going to see a movie in West Hollywood, and he was at Cedars-Sinai, and I thought, I'm going to go in and say hi to him, see how he's doing, and showed up, and, you know, he was in dialysis, and so I thought, oh, hell, I'm going to be late for the movie anyway. I'll just go. I'll just write something down like, hey, Mark was here, you know, just note that. And then as I'm walking out, here comes his bed after the dialysis, and he goes, Mark. And I'm like, hey, man, how are you? He said, come here. And I'm like, oh. And I'm looking at the watch. I'm going to be like, and I fed him because he couldn't eat. And I'm like, here, man, let me help you with the peas. You know, here's a pea put in your mouth. And then days went by and I'm like bitching. And in front of a lot of people, we were in this group together. And he got up and he said, I want to tell you a story about a man named Mark. And this man did this for me. And a grown man helped. And I'm like, everybody's looking at me. And then I'm like, they're like you? And I'm like, yeah, me. And so then I got a lot of pride. And then he shared the same story in front of a group of people. And he said, I want to tell you a story. And I started turning to people and saying, listen to this story about a guy who, I'm like, just say my name, say my damn name. He said, and this man came and he helped me eat. And it was one of the most loving moments of my life from another man. I'm like, say my damn name. Please say it. Everybody's listening. And they're like looking at me like it's not you, dude. That's the last thing you would do. And that was the end of the story. So nobody really got to hear the good deed.
He didn't say Mark was the guy.
No. So then he'd write and he's like, I'll always remember. I'm like, dude, do not be afraid to use my name. I don't care. I don't mind. But it felt really good in retrospect, my ego like that, because I don't do that. And I'm the guy always looking for excuses to just crazy busy, I can't.
I need a rationalization as to why I can't do it next week. Like, can you ghost a guy for being too nice?
No.
And you just can't hang out with this guy because you can't raise your level of being a decent human being, and you're just too selfish, and you just got to ghost a really great guy because I just can't keep up with him. I can't do that. So now I need a rationalization.
You can't. You listen. This is what I'm trying to teach a 5-year-old. The key to happiness, the key to life, I believe, is being of service to others, and none of us want to do it.
Yes, I know. It's true,
and it does feel good.
So
it feels good. Because on your deathbed, I always think when I'm 90 years old, sitting in a rocker, there are two things I don't want to do. I don't want to say, damn it, I wish I would have tried that. I wish I had the guts to have tried that.
You're so wise.
And then the second one is, I wish I helped others more than myself.
Mark, I'm going to give your phone number to my friend.
No. I'm in Georgia and I got a kid and everything.
Wise.
No. I'd love to. I'd love to.
So.
It's just I can't. So busy. The holidays and whatnot,
Anyway,
election. Yeah.
So I have profound guilt that I'm not as nice as
I'm proud of you for taking action over your feelings.
There we go. Yeah.
Help you.
Yeah.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
I want to hear from our lovely, lovely, lovely people. Our people with questions.
Yeah, let's take some questions, man. Enough of this stuff.
All right, guys. We're going to start off with a voicemail from Vanessa.
Hi, this is Vanessa from Queensland, Australia. I was just curious, have either of you experienced a role as an actor where the characteristics of that character started influencing your own personality or health or habits over time? And then if so, how did you navigate any potential unhealthy habits that developed? And how did you find that the industry either supported or impeded your ability and any actor's ability to overcome such challenges?
Oh my God, her accent. Sorry. It's so beautiful. Her voice is so nice.
Great accent, man.
And great question. Oh, James, this is you.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
You take the floor.
I so often roles rub off, because I mean, in all honesty, and I've probably said it before, I don't think that, for me anyway, I'm not playing someone else. I just feel like I'm playing certain facets of me that fit the character, or finding that I have more facets than I thought I had, or wondering if I do, or just exploring myself. And so I remember we were doing it was the Entenmann Theater. We were doing Macbeth, and I had a bunch of smaller roles in this production. And for the costume design, they wanted to really steal from the music at that time. So it was really Kurt Cobain kind of grunge stuff. And so they wanted us to kind of shave our heads and then wear combat boots and loose jeans and then tie flannel shirts around our waists. And they thought that would look cool because kind of like a Scottish kilt, because Macbeth takes place in Scotland, in 650 AD. And they thought that would be cool. And I thought it was awesome. I was loving it. I wanted to get into the role and become a warrior and a badass and discover that part of myself and everything. And so I started wearing Doc Martens and that the whole look with the thing tied around my waist and everything, and a shaved head and a black leather coat. And then people on the street were like giving me stink eye. They were crossing the street and they were like clutching their children closer to themselves as they like shepherded them past me, and I couldn't figure it out. And I realized this is the same look as a neo-Nazi.
Oh God!
I absolutely.
Oh my
look
God!
Like a neo-Nazi right now, and we have that. That's part of the culture up in the Pacific Northwest. And this is the thing: I didn't change.
Yeah,
this is the horrible thing. I was so into wanting to do this role and do this that I thought I looked cool. So I kept wearing that on stage and off stage. And to this day, I kind of feel bad. Yeah.
That's hilarious. But, I'm curious about Spike. After you started playing that's for a long time.
Yeah.
And how did that affect you? What was the point where you realized that I'm kind of turning into this person, or the person's turning into me, or, how did that work?
That ate me alive.
Okay.
In all honesty, because I think that the acting techniques that work best for film are called the method, where you really kind of build an imaginary world in your mind that you can kind of be in and improvise within and make that a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. And the thing is, when you do it for a TV show and you're doing it for 6-7 years at a time, you can go all the way down the rabbit hole. And I was living down in that hole. And so, like I've said, like Spike, there is a Spike in me, and I try not to let him out because he's not funny and he's not charming, and he just, he is all of the loneliness and the bitterness and the anger and the cynicism that I fight against. It's all of the things that I try to push away when I wake up in the morning. And you combine that with the dialogue on Buffy, and which is very charming and wonderful and funny, and you get the character Spike. But without that dialogue, he's just a dick. He's just my inner asshole.
Yeah.
So
gross.
Yeah, I just became a recluse. I became very lonely. And I remember I would come home from shooting and put on Coldplay and
nice.
What was the other sad music? It was Parachutes was the album.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Radiohead.
There you go.
And Portishead.
Yo, God.
Morshiba. Oh yeah. And I would just sit there and cry.
Did you paint your walls black? Good Lord. So you would sit there and cry? I didn't mean to laugh on that.
Almost on a daily basis.
My God.
Just horrific.
So it really affected you. How did you, I think
because when you're that alone, it's very painful. And even on set, I'm playing a character who is a total lone wolf. He doesn't let anyone in, really, except his girlfriend at the time, maybe. And that's it. And so even on a set full of people who would want to talk with me, I kept to myself. So I was really profoundly alone for a long time. And that's just not advisable. I don't think any therapist would say, don't ever talk to people. Just be alone with yourself.
So if talking to your younger self about to delve into Spike, what would you say? Because I tend to agree with you about the only way I can do it is through the method, and it's really hard.
I wouldn't change him I wouldn't tell him to change a thing. Because I don't have to live that anymore. Haha, you go through it. I already did. I did my time, and we came out of it, and it's all good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you didn't commit suicide or become a pedophile. Or
I just don't.
I'm not sure.
I don't think there was any other way to do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it as well as I could, and I didn't know any other way but the method to do that. I don't think anyone has a better idea. Frankly, it's just
I've seen it before, man, with some actors that, the big crying scene or whatever it is, it's not such a big, workup or anything like that. And it works on camera. And I think when you get more comfortable in front of the camera, I think the question also is how the industry perpetuates that to some degree, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In my experience, I love what you tell young actors as far as you're strong in your head, to be looked at. It's a question of you open yourself up to them. I never felt interesting enough. I never felt damaged enough.
Oh, but you're so damaged.
I'm so damaged. Then you realize just getting into this business, something's wrong with you. But I always felt I'm not interesting in any way. And so hence I took on, I was obsessed with Jimmy Dean. I just,
the sausage guy?
The sausage guy. So I get all of his pictures. He had a calendar of different poses of the sausage that I'm like, someday I want to be that sausage. No, and I became that. And then I acted
James
like
Dean,
that.
So we're talking.
Yeah,
okay,
James Dean. Yeah. And
why? I'm sorry. Why are you the only person to call him Jimmy? Like you know him?
Because it felt like, because I've read every book on him.
Yeah.
What he was like, and his best of friends. In fact, Juliet's father was good friends with him. Mm-hmm. And then Rip Torn, is friends with his daughter. And I asked, they went to the actor's studio together, and he would tell me things about Jimmy. So he'd refer to him as Jimmy.
Oh, okay. Kind
of like Bob De Niro. So I'm trying to sound cool. But I realized how much energy that took to go into the agency. And this is the industry part. And be that person. And I wasn't that person. And then I got a review at one point that was nice, that of cross between Warren Beatty and James Dean. And I thought, oh, right there, I'm done. I'm kind of done. I just needed that in print. And then I can quit, because I don't like anything else. But it tore me apart. You're tearing me apart.
It can be good, though, too. I remember I did one episode on this short-lived series called The Wedding Band, where I played an aging rock star. And he was just happy. He, hadn't had a hit in years, but he was still like, I'm just, it's like, I got a great life, Yeah. And there was a line where he goes, I'm a rock star. And she said, well, you used to be a rock star. He goes, no, honey, it's like being a knight. They can't take it away from you. It's like being knighted. Once they've given it to you, they can't take it away. And I just thought, that's it, man. That's it. That's what I took that. And I was like, you know what? I'm a vampire. I'm fine. You can't take that away from me. And I can just relax and be happy with how lucky I am.
I love it.
All right, let's move on.
All right, Jessica wants to know, would you rather visit your ancestors in the past or meet your descendants in the future?
Oh, wow.
My God, I love these questions. It's such a great question. I'm too selfish. I want to know what happened to me with all my ancestors from Ireland. And I want to know who the one guy was that got to Sweden to reproduce in Sweden. We have 1% Swedish in us. And
so some Irish guy got into Sweden and got some at some point.
Got on some boat. And I don't know how far away that is. But
he must have been a good-looking Irishman, because those Swedes, they're pretty
Well, no, because they're all blonde. And then they see this Irishman with the accent and everything saying, oh, I'm lost, or whatever that works. And like, let me help you over here.
Because it sounds good. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just, because I do, man. I heard somebody one time say, even if you don't believe in prayer, when you're going through the shit, call upon all of your ancestors before you. Call upon the power of everybody that brought you to this moment. As Mr. Rogers said, let's take a pause and think about all the people who brought us into being.
And that's assuming that they're wise. What if they're just a bunch of jerks?
Well, that's the thing, because I read about my ancestors, and they're all like really average people like me. And it's like a huge
draw on all that energy, and the sum of that is like, just give up.
Yeah, it's just like, just find your potatoes and eat it. And, what are you going to do? Nobody was a great writer or anything like that. Or, you want something, but it was pretty much,
Yeah.
just get through it like we did.
I think it's kind of dicey to see my descendants, because what if I don't like them? What if they're just jerks and what am I doing? Because I'm basically living my whole life to give my kids a shot at happiness. It's been, I've been laser focused on this for 25 years. And what if they're fine? They're good people, but then their grandkids, they're just a bunch of
because that's what you passed on. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not anyone's fault. It just happened. And I'm just like, oh, God, what am I doing? I'm just going to spend.
Or like the Marster's name turns into like synonymous, like Manson, like somebody did something bad and like, oh, God.
And I just like, even if I knew that it wasn't my fault, I'd be like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Why try if it's just going to come to that?
Yeah.
So that's dangerous. So I think I would probably, because you could go back to your descendant, your ancestors, and you could either be proud of them or you could judge them and say, look what I came from, man. They were all a bunch of boring people, and look at me. I got out of there. Or, you could be all proud, like, I come from giants.
Yeah, my ancestors would be like, oh my God, the self-pity of this guy. That's the Irish. Okay, that's fine. But look at all the technology, all the stuff around him. He's got amazing, and he's sat still just bitching constantly. We got on a boat to give you freedom, to give you a better life in New York. And we had to go up to Canada because we couldn't get what, we came down to Nebraska.
Oh, what if no, that would be horrible if I meet my ancestors and they're awesome and they think I'm a twerp. Oh, wow. Because that would probably happen.
Right.
Because no matter what, they'd be like, look at what you're so right, Mark. Look at all you have and all we sacrificed to get that. And you complained one complaint in your whole life.
Yeah.
And they would be like, oh,
yeah.
Man.
Because if there was a heaven, I think most of my time would be like saying, look, it's all relevant, guys,
Yeah.
It's relevant to the time. Why won't you guys talk to me? I left one son. We'll see how he does.
I think that it's just inadvisable to do either one of those things. I don't think you want to do either one of those things. I think I need to have hope that I'm setting my children up to have more than I had and be happier than I have been. And I hope that every parent is doing that. And you just have to live in ignorance as to what that's going to come to. Because, man, I just think that would be a nightmare. It's a potential nightmare either way.
Well, sometimes it's good to look back on family history to see like, who might have suffered from depression or some of the stuff that you go through, alcoholism, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, we revere my Aunt Mary, who's my grandmother's sister. She's passed, but she was like just this brilliant woman, stuck in a time where women weren't allowed to do anything, but just this brilliant mind and so educated. And yet we found out, after she passed, she received electroconvulsive therapy because of her depression.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of like, cuckoo's nest kind of stuff that they did.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Interesting we swept this one under the rug. So you're asking
so
why.
So Jason, any electrotherapy in your background?
I don't know about my background, maybe last Wednesday, but no.
That's why he's smiling. He's so peaceful. He's like Jack Nicholson at the very end of the film.
He's as meek as a lamb.
I would actually go back and meet my ancestors that I knew that I didn't get to know when they were young. Like my great-grandmother, I only met her when she had Alzheimer's. So I never got to meet the real her. So I would go back in time just to meet her when she was young to find out what she was like.
I love that.
Okay. Yeah. So like I can tell your face, you're warm and rosy about this because you're expecting that she'd be a wonderful young woman. What if that wasn't true?
Well, then I know my parents lied to me a lot then. They said that she was fantastic.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
It's called
everything's
parenting.
Perfect. The only problem we have is you. We don't know where everybody else is okay.
That's why I have to get all the electroshock therapy.
Yeah. Listen, it calms you. Just lay down and watch the Three Stooges without laughing.
That's the hardest part of parenting is pretending that I'm not human. No, we got this. It's all going to be fine. I can figure this out. You're safe.
I tell Jackson a quick story. I tell him, made up stories at bedtime that he's able to build a time machine with his best doll, Franny, that he's like his if. And he goes back in time and meets a little girl, and the little girl invites him in, and they don't have a lot of presents. And yet she has like a rocking horse. And Jackson said, what's your name? And she says, well, my name is Katie. And then, long story short, that ends up, he goes back to see his mom when she's a little girl, and what they had. And that trying to put it out there that, mommy was a little girl like you, and she was scared sometimes and all that stuff. And he's just like, I don't like this story. Where's the Hulk come in and just kill everybody? I'm like, why does the Hulk always have to destroy everything? Because he's just like, I'm not in it. As I'm saying, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a great storyteller. This is brilliant. He just couldn't put it together. He's like, wait, that's mom?
He's later.
I don't
for
like
that
this.
Story. Yeah. She's a human being. No.
No.
Jason, where are we? What do we got? Let's go.
Kim wants to know, of all the roles you've had, what line left you thinking, I never thought I'd say that? And what role is that from?
I don't remember any of that. Nothing. Bupkis. Nothing. If they didn't put it on a coffee mug, I wouldn't remember Out for a Walk, bitch. I swear to God. I don't know. This is the weirdest thing. Like, even in theater, like you're doing a 3-hour play and you have memorized a mammoth amount. And then the show closes, and 3 days later someone asks you about a line, you're like,
remember when you said that line? It just changed my life.
It gets dumped, man. It gets dumped. You just got to make room in your processing unit for more information. So you just dump all of that.
Wasn't there one line that was very profound to you? It didn't have to be.
I'm sure it was. And it got dumped. I'm sure I'm going to remember
You're
this
saving room in your hard drive.
Life. I'm sure there's a million of those. And nothing. I've got nothing.
The other one, I'll end on this. It was a Tennessee Williams play that Liz Ashley was in that I played this guy at the end. I played like numerous parts, and the guy at the end, the word was it's the Nichols, Nickls, and I'm supposed to be like a wolf boy. It's called the Red Devil Battery Sign, possibly one of the worst plays ever because it's Tennessee Williams. But that's
you were
when
the
he was
wolf
like,
boy.
I was. You know it. Yeah.
So your back hair came into a good use. This is great.
They'd have to fluff it up, and I'm like, I'm good to go. But the Nichols, it's the Nichols. Nobody knew what that was, and we even had Tennessee Williams' brother there, Dakin, and he's like, I don't know what the hell it is. And then once we did it, we realized that we're going to cut this immediately because it sounds like the N-word.
Oh, wow. Yeah, cut it.
None of us knew
now.
that.
Cut it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It made no sense.
I will say, you told me about a moment on stage that I am so jealous of, because you got to say at the closing of an act, as the lights are coming down and you're center stage, you got to go, my God.
My God. Yeah.
in the darkness. My God. And I've practiced that.
My God.
Yeah, see, that's it. That's
why
it.
That's why I felt like as
an
an actor, I need to smoke to make my voice come lower because I want to sound like Martin Sheen, because that's Apocalypse Now. And I think he says that somewhere in the beginning.
Yeah.
My God.
You have it. I don't have it.
Yeah.
I want that. I want that sometime in my career. Okay, Jason, hit us.
Eva wants to know, how do you overcome fear?
Do we overcome fear is the thing.
I just stay inside, wait for it to go away.
Just stay inside.
Yeah.
Just put the pillow over the head. And
I have a couple glasses of wine. That seems to take the edge off, and I don't see a problem in that. Right?
Oh, man. You know what? I think identifying the fear is important for me. Sometimes I don't really even understand what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when I identify the fear, I realize that it's an irrational fear, like I'm afraid that I will I'm afraid I'll die alone and loveless. I'm afraid that no one will find the body for 5 days or whatever. That's you know, like, whoa, dude, you know, that's you're going pretty far down the field on that one. There was one time where my dad had Parkinson's, and so he had a long, slow slide down into dementia, and like 10 years. And toward the end of it, I was noticing that people were getting really short with him, and they were getting frustrated when he was you know, losing his way and not able to communicate very well. And very good people, my family, were getting really short with him. And I kind of noticed that I was getting tempted to get short with him too.
Yeah.
And I went home or back to my motel because I was up there visiting, and I thought about it, and I was like, what am I afraid of? Like, there's something going on here. And I realized I'm afraid my dad's going to die.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, now that I know what that is, the obvious thing is, dude, your dad is going to die. He is in the final stages of this process. This is not going to be too long before he's gone.
Yeah.
So you've just got to like face that so you can do your job, which is try to make him as comfortable and happy as you can for this final, you know, chapter of his life.
Yeah.
And that was everything, you know. Then I was the kind of the calmer person in the room. And then when someone would get short, I would be like, I'll do it. And I came in. And that helped a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But I had to start with just kind of self-reflection of, look, what am I afraid of?
Yeah. What is it inside of me that's going on? But what you said, listen, man, I was in New York City and I started having panic attacks in the middle of the Times Square subway. I didn't know what it was. And if I don't think you've ever had a panic attack, but it's just out of nowhere. Your brain just like starts freaking out where you have an adrenaline rush.
A lot of people who get this.
And I thought I was having a heart attack and, you know, all this stuff. And I had to call my roommate to come and get me. And I was just sitting on the pole by the phone, you know, that you had to put a quarter in to call. And she was going to come down and get me. And, you know, and then it went on to this. And I was in therapy at the time. So we were uncovering a lot of this stuff that maybe was too. Sometimes when I tell them, there are some things that can't be let's start where I am right now. Is that possible? But I found I was a natural isolator, you know. In fact, your story is a spike. It's so dark that it was hard for me. I was so uncomfortable with myself to be around people, major social anxiety and all of that. Yet I realized if I could pick up the phone and maybe, because I always felt like I had to perform, you know, and not just be, hey man, how are you doing? I'm, you know, going through some crap. I don't know what's going on, whatever. I never wanted to do that. And it's exactly what you said. It felt like, you know, once I was able to talk to people, then I might be okay. But I did. I used alcohol a lot for my fear, which once I came out of that, I connected with more people. And then I think with age, your fear goes away. Now,
it's so important to talk to people because I often, when I describe what I'm going through, it doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Somehow that it kind of brings it out into the, like, it would be terrible if I was talking to, like, I call you up and I describe that I'm really afraid of something. And then you're like, oh, that's horrible. You are going to come to that kind of, you know. But even if someone's just listening to me and I find myself saying the thing, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. This is not quite as bad as it seemed like it was in my head before I started talking about it.
There was a girl that just, I wanted to follow up with that I'd see her. She was an actress. She was on CSI Miami, and we became kind of friends through auditioning, and I felt like it was safe enough that when she asked, like, how are you doing, that I could say, like, you know, I'm actually really struggling, you know, just in my life. And I don't know if I chose the right profession. I'm struggling with it. And I really opened up with her, and she was listening. I said, but she didn't say anything, because the thing there you're talking about, it just identify with me just a little bit.
Yeah.
She didn't say anything. And I said, well, how are you doing, Zoe? And she goes, good, real good. And
like the
I'm
subtext
backtracking
there, like,
where I'm like,
I didn't want to know how you were doing, buddy. I was just saying hi.
I just always remember, I'm like, I feel like I didn't line that up right. Now I feel like a bigger loser. I'm doing actually great.
No, you were actually trying to be a real human being and a friend, and she didn't want to go there at all.
Yeah, so
Don't call her again.
Nope,
Okay.
I didn't. That's all right.
I will say this, and I don't know if I've said it before. If I could give myself advice, my past self, right? 3 days ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10, 20, 30, 40. At any point in my life, my advice to my past self would be the same, which is calm down. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to be so afraid.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because I'm sitting here and I'm talking with my friends and we're doing a podcast and it's awesome. And I got all, it's all fine. And I have been through hellacious stuff, Broken bones with no health care is not a good place to be.
Oh my God.
Like going into hypothermia in your own apartment.
Oh
it's
God.
not a good place to be.
No.
Like there's a lot of stuff where you think
chugging vodka by yourself is not a good place to be.
See, that's your story.
Oh, yeah, that's my story. Yeah.
But I mean, that there, there was a lot of scary things that have happened to me, getting gang beaten in
Easy.
Queens.
Are you
with
kidding?
Brass knuckles is not,
Was
it's
this
not
in the
a good night.
1950s?
No, it was the 80s, man. And so that, but after it all, here I am. So next time I get jumped by brass knuckles, I would like, it's going to be okay. Bam, it's going to be okay. Bam, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay if I leave.
Try to remember that.
No, man, I do. I hope I can keep my wits about me to tell Jackson, you're going to go through really tough stuff no matter what. We all do. We're just human beings. And it's a matter of if you can walk through that, because he loves Obi-Wan Kenobi. He understands that Obi-Wan Kenobi becomes more powerful after Vader kills him. And he asks like a lot more existential questions, which are kind of weird, or I can't even answer them. I'm like, oh, you'll find about that later. But that you get this great wisdom going through all of it. But when you're in the middle of it, man, I was not that strong. I needed something to take the edge off. It's okay to be on medication, prescribed, I believe. Borrow some chemicals, as girls from My Favorite Murder say. I love those
Much
girls.
better than chugging vodka,
Listen, you're going to try anything,
get a pill, seriously.
I never
anyway,
did that, but you got to tell me more about that.
I think that is about as much time as we have, or I think that we've talked as much as the audience can stand hearing us talk at this point.
It feels like the questions are shorter than the answers.
I think that's the way it should be, Mark. I think we've actually done better than we thought.
Just yes or no questions, they should say.
We
like it's
turn that
Jasmine
into
Crockett asking us
We
questions.
chew that one up too. Okay. Guys, I'm
questions.
so glad that I had time to expound on my opinions about things with you.
Yeah, it was so
My
nice.
memories.
Nice
I
hearing
just
you.
Love to talk about myself. It just makes me feel so good about my life. I think we should do this again next week, though. I love being back. I got to say, this is so good to get back to it and be with you guys again. I missed it, and I'm so glad we're back in it.
Me too.
All right.
Bye, kids.
Till next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Schmactors. Join James and Mark next time for more pointed pontification on the topics of the day. Do you have a burning question that you just can't wait to have the guys answer? Well, then head on over to schmactors.com and send it our way. If the answer won't get them canceled, we'll add it to the queue. And if you have a friend who you think would enjoy the show, use the share button in your podcast player and send it to them directly. Trust me, it'll make their day. Signing off for James and Mark, this is producer Jason. Until we meet again.